Hi guys, so this is Mireile Marie, and I recently recorded a video about understanding and overcoming fear, and I posted, right? And this very special friend, who's someone I really admire a lot, she called me and she said, "Hey Mireille, I saw your video, I really like it. But I wasn't expecting that you were going to share a personal experience of you overcoming fear." And I was like, "Oh, really?" So this was very interesting to me for many reasons. One of them being that when I started recording these videos, I didn't know where to start. For those of you to know my work, I work with holistic wellness. I teach the art of holistic living, and that involves many things like organic nutrition, holistic spirituality, vibration, sustainability, permaculture. Oh my God, it's everything. That's why it's called holistic, right? The art of holistic living. So it's everything about living a holistic life. So during this crisis, I didn't know where exactly to start, which topic, like immune system or mental health or emotional health. But a very good friend, which is also like my teacher, she said, "Mireille, just start wherever. And from there, you will see what comes up." So I started today, and then this lady, friend of mine, called me and said, "Oh, so I thought you were going to share a personal experience. I was left expecting." And I said, "Oh, that's so great, because I have no experience making videos, but I guess it's a good thing to have people expecting more of your videos." So I left her expecting. So thank you for that. And now I'm going to answer her question, right? Because it's really interesting when you doesn't have a plan, but you get ready to answer to spirit. It's amazing how things can evolve. Things that apparently you have no control on them whatsoever. But at the same time, everything happened like in synchronicity, in a way that really surprised you and helps you to surrender to the will of spirit working through you, right? And this applies to anything and everything. So anyway, let's go to the matter. And so she asked me, I thought you were going to share an experience of you overcoming fear. So I said, yes, of course. I have many stories I can share, believe me, of many wonderful things happening. And by wonderful, I don't mean there has been easy, because easy is overrated. I mean wonderful because when things happen to me, when strong things happen to me, that's where I grow and become a better person, a more conscious human being, at the service of humanity, of God, of everything, of the planet. So that's why I said I have many wonderful experiences to share, and probably if you keep seeing my videos, you'll be listening to some of these great stories. But then I'm gonna share this one with you about overcoming fear. Puerto Rico recently went through a season of earthquakes, and we still are in that. I think we're kind of used to them now, and I don't live close to the area where you can feel them mostly, but by December last year, we had a big one that was felt all over the island, right? And we're used to hurricanes, to which, you can prepare for the hurricane season. We had a problem with the government here, and there has been a lot of unstable. It's like an unstable reality what we have right now here in terms of government and politics. But you know, you kind of like you can go through those waters and survive. But when an earthquake hit, oh my gosh, you feel it like through your bones, because you have zero control on what's happening next, right? You don't have control. So you really, I mean, I think for me the most fearful thing that I have been through has been feeling the earthquakes. So when the earthquake, the big one, happened, the southern part of the island was hit. Lots of people lose their houses. There were camps, FEMA camps, to help them. People, they were asking for food. They were needing help. And I'm a combat medic. So in times like this, although I'm not any longer in the military, thank God, but I had the experience of being that. So I thought, maybe I should activate myself and go help. But I was told to remain calm. And I was like, there was like an inner fight between the instruction I was receiving by like my higher self, or my intuition, or my sixth sense, or my divine presence, or by angels, or Jesus Christ, or whoever you want to think was giving me the instruction. It doesn't matter. I was just receiving these instructions of remaining calm and wait. And then I saw a lot of people moving on and getting food, and I wanted to get, you know, aligned with that service, helping endeavor. But then they said, this is not your task. Stay calm. Because later I understood I had to anchor calmness in me so that I could work like an antenna, putting out that signal of calmness in a moment of chaos, because there was a lot of fear and chaos in Puerto Rico. So I had to remain calm so that I could feel calm, so that I could become calm, so that I could transmit calm, right? So I understand that thing of becoming something other than you, still being you. So it's you and much more, much more. So thanks for the earthquakes, I start working with being and embodying calmness. Now, one day I received a phone call from my cousin from the US, a dear cousin, and he said, hey Mireille, you know what? I have a lot of friends who want to donate money to Puerto Rico, and your dad, because I'm always active doing stuff, right? So, and your dad told me that you were working with some groups, So I thought that who a better person for me to send the money than to you, so that you can pass it along to people who do really need the money. And I was like, yeah, of course. Shouldn't I be in calm? But then change happened. Like, oh, there was a change in the plan, because change is part of being alive, you know. Sometimes you want to do something and do the same thing forever and ever, where, you know, you have to be flexible, because change is the medulla, is the center of growth. When you grow, you change. If you don't want to change, you're dying, right? So the thing is that I said, yeah, okay, so yeah, send me the money. Now I didn't know who to give the money to. The long story short, I was kind of like revealed where and to whom get the money. But for me to get there, I had to go through very, very tiny roads in the middle of the island on the mountains by myself, because I had to explore and work with my intuition to be guided to the places I needed to go. And this was during the earthquake season, because where the people were needing the money, they were in the epicenter of the earthquakes, which were still happening. They were not where I live, that I was not feeling the earthquake. I had to go to where it was trembling every day. The floor was shaking, and I had to go by myself, driving my car through these tiny roads, alone in the countryside, through mountains and hills and cliffs. And roads that, I mean, some of them are like about to collapse because of their construction, but also because of Hurricane Maria, and then because of the earthquake. So I had to come to me and sit with me, because I had this money and I was responsible, and I had a purpose and a task that was calling me, that was bigger than me and my fear. My purpose was bigger than my fear. But that doesn't mean that I didn't feel the fear. The fear was there. So I had to work with it for me to step out, because if not, when you're in fear, you cannot really get connected to your higher self, to the matrix of information. You can't. You block. Fear blocks you. Fear is a cage. Fear enslaves you. Fear paralyzes you. And I was paralyzed and caged. I was in fear. But I had this task in front of me. And how was I going to say no? How was I going to say no to the people that was needing this help, to the people who lovingly was donating this? But most importantly, how was I going to say no to me? Because I was in fear. I faced the fears, and I realized that fear was an illusion, because the fear was fear of dying. No, I had never had fear of dying. I know I came here to die. We all are born to be dead someday, right? So being in fear of dying is like, there's no sense of living a life in which you are feeling fear of dying, because that's going to happen anyway. So that's a matter for another video. But I realized it's fear of something happened to me, like an accident. Like I'm driving and just feeling the shake. It was fear of feeling the shake. And like if I was driving through one of these roads and then suddenly a big rock came or the mountain collapsed over me, that was the fear. So I look at the fear. First I felt the fear, and I became aware of the fear. And then I pinpointed what was the fear. So it was not fear of dying, fear of being assaulted. It was fear of something happening to me. Once I saw that, I thought about it, and I meditated on it, and I contemplated, and I said, but is this real? And then I realized, no, this is an illusion. Why? Because in all this earthquake in Puerto Rico, only one person died. Few people had accidents. The possibilities of me having an accident, they were there, but they were mostly my creative mind creating them. It's like people thinking now that they're gonna die because of the COVID, and 96% of the people is gonna survive this. 96, and the other 4%, some of them will survive it. And there are ways to survive it so that you can get ready for it. So you don't have to think about the worst, because that is only building fear, and that's paralyzing you and not letting you think clearly on what's really happening here, right? So you have to come clear in your head. So what I did was I looked at the fear. I saw that my fear was really an illusion of my creative mind thinking on the worst. And then I realized that all that energy that I was putting into the words, I had to change direction in the axis of believing. Like, there is an axis of believing. There is the best to happen, and there is the worst to happen. The best and the worst. So I was thinking the worst was happening. Oh my God, the shake, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, what if I take that same energy and put it into the best? The best is happening. Okay, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna find the people. I'm gonna give the donation. Everybody's gonna be happy. And because I'm gonna be so happy, and because I'm gonna be in the certainty that everything is gonna be okay, I'm gonna be contributing, awakening, activating the possibility of everything being okay, instead of being focusing on the worst and activating the other polarity, activating the possibility that there was going to be another shake, and I was going to be trapped, and he was going to hit my car, and I was going to be trapped for a month on the earth, and maybe I would not survive out of hunger, because dying was not the problem, you know. So then I turned the wheel, I turned the coin, I turned my consciousness, I turned my eyesight, I turned my viewpoint, I turned my perspective into expecting the best. And I turned on my car. I got ready for the trip. I had my emergency backpack. I have food in case the worst happened, because being prepared gave me reassurance that I was ready. So if you don't want to be worried about something, which is the loss of energy, just be ready and let it go, because you don't control the rest. You control what you can control. What you cannot control, why do you worry? So I could not control if there was going to be another earthquake, but I could control that what I was wearing during my trip was clothing that if I have to run, or I have to hike, or I was trapped and I had to start walking through the mountains by myself, I could. I was dressing like if I was going hiking. It was comfortable, and I had like a very good jacket, because I was going to the mountains, and I was going to stay in the mountains during a few days while I finished giving out the donations. So I needed to be prepared, so I didn't have to be worried. So instead of preoccupied, I occupied myself by getting ready. It's like right now. Many people are worried about getting the COVID, but they're not getting ready to get the COVID, right? Are you working with your immune system? Are you changing the way you're eating? Are you changing your sleeping pattern? Are you lowering your stress level? Are you exercising? That's getting ready, because, 96% of the people is gonna go through this without any problem. Maybe a few of them with mild problems. But you know which people is that? The ones that have the immune system working well. So if your immune system is working well, you don't have to worry, because we have been exposed in history of man to millions of viruses and bacteria. And we don't even know, like all those asymptomatic people that they don't know they have the COVID, right? Wouldn't it be nice? I'm not saying I don't want to have the COVID, but if I do get it, I want to be asymptomatic, right? So how do I make myself asymptomatic? Well, at least for me not to be worried, I'm going to try my best to build what I know is my protection. My protection is not a mask, although it might help in a way. Definitely my protection are not gloves, which is a way of spreading the, the virus like your hands if you don't change it every time you get in contact with a surface. But your protection is to be ready. And that gives you peace of mind. So get ready for the worst. And take your precautions. So when the earthquake season happened, I did my backpack with extra food. I clothed accordingly. Like if something happened, I would drive early in the morning, not at night, right? And I have my cell phone and a battery charger, extra battery charger. I mean, I had everything ready. So I didn't have to be preoccupied, but I occupied myself. So I identified the fear first. I became aware of what the fear was. I get rid of what was an illusion. I changed my attention to the other polarity. Instead of being believing the worst was going to happen, I started believing that the best was going to happen. And guess what? The best happened. The best happened. I have videos that I didn't publish them like because of the privacy of the people, but everybody who donated and everybody who participated in the movement of these donations, they all received the videos of me giving out the donations because I wanted to keep them informed to where their funds were being, were ending, you know, like to the people, like they could see their funds, their donations be given to the people. And it was beautiful. And if I would have allowed fear to stop me, I don't know how this story would have been. Probably I would be frustrated with myself because fear, and I would be in fear right now because of everything that's happening. But once you overcome fear once, it's so much easier to overcoming a second time, a third time, and then you understand that fear is an illusion. Fear is an illusion. And I remember when I was coming down the mountain, one morning there was a big one. And I was in a lodge in the mountains. And everything shaked, everything. And I felt it like, oh my gosh, to my bones, my stomach. And when I went to my car and I put my backpack, I was like, my knees were shaking. Like, wow, I have to drive down this mountain like for 40 minutes, driving through cliffs. So I said, you know what? It's always God's will. It's always God's will. If He wants me to get trapped, I'm going to be trapped, even if I stay at home. If He wants me to be okay, I'll be okay. But I need to listen to Him when He speaks to me. And for that, I cannot be in fear, because fear stops that communication with Him. So I put my backpack in my car. I learned a couple of lessons that morning that I could share with you later on. But while I was driving down, I would say, this is God's will. And I would not say I was not feeling fear, but I was overcoming the fear. Because I was expecting the best. And I was just invoking His presence and saying, Father, your will be done. So I totally surrender. I don't know if you're following track of all these steps. Oh, I'm sorry, all these steps that I did. But it was like, at the end, it was total surrender to the will of God. And to the will of God, I had nothing to say, because God is the love of my life, source, the mind, everything, however you want to name it. So whatever he wants, I know it's for the best of everyone. So I'm here to work for him. And once that's said, his will be done always. So I'm telling you, when in fear, I'm not gonna say my advice, but my experience, the one that I can share, and you take from this what works for you, and if it doesn't work for you, I hope it works for you for something, right? Because you have been seeing this video and it's becoming kind of long. But just try to identify the fear, become aware that you are in fear. Try to see why, what's the reason? And ask why, and why, and why, until you get to the medulla, to why is that you are in fear. And then once you know, do you remember that polarity, which is your belief or your faith? Move from expecting the worst related to your fear to expecting the best. You know, the worst haven't happened, the best neither. But why would you think about the worst if you can think about the best and help create the best? Because when you think about the best, you're creating the best. You become the best. The more you believe in the best, you become the best. And the best is start happening to you. Right? I know you know that. And if you don't, just keep seeing my videos and you get to know that better. So just change the perspective. Just start expecting the best. You get over that fear. You do what you have to do. You understand that when you're in fear, you cannot really connect to the higher realms or God or your instructions or your intuition. So it's very important that you redirect your belief, your faith, expecting the best. It would really release you from the bondage of fear, right? And then you realize that it doesn't matter. At the end, it's always going to be God's will. And God wills you invoke, and you surrender to it. And you live happily. The time is now. This is the only thing you have. The future is not here yet. So why be in fear now, thinking on the worst tomorrow if it hasn't not come and you're here now? And now the only thing that's happening is this. Well, I don't know, my friend, and everybody who's looking, I hope this really gives you some light and that I did answer your question. If I didn't, please call me back or text me and I try to do another video, because that's why I'm doing this, to really help everyone to navigate this situation. To navigate, not because we're drowning, but to navigate because we're creating a new route, okay, for living better than before. Okay, guys? So, kiss to all, and we keep in contact until the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.